warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello good people. Hi everyone. How are you today? I hope you all are happy and healthy. So, welcome back in my YouTube channel. Do you remember my name? Yes, my name is Marvina Ivana. I'm from English Education University of Muhammadiyah Semarang. So, in here, I want to explain about verb group. Before I start my video, do you know about verb group? Okay, if you don't know about verb group, let's discuss with me. So, let's get started. Verb group is a verb or verbal group that consists of verb of or a main verb following modal or one more auxiliary. For example, walked, called, can see, and had been waving. For example, look at this sentence. Please analyze the verb for each sentence. And then, what is the difference? Number 1, boy hugged the sister. Number 2, boy was hugging the sister. Number 3, boy has been hugging the sister. What is different about a sentence? So, you must remember that verb group consists one or more than one element. One or more than one element. Do you must remember about it? Hug is that one element. Was hugging is that two elements. Was and hugging. And then has been hugging is the three elements. Okay, I will explain a little bit about verb group. Verb group consists one more than one element. You must remember about it. Verb group consists one or more than one element. Repeat after me. Verb group consists one or more than one element. The lexical verb can appear along with the modal elements. Those additional elements are called auxiliary. Auxiliary meaning additional or giving help. Auxiliary verb modify the lexical verb by indicating modal or aspect or voice. The verb group may signify tenses. Tenses will be also included under the category auxiliary. Before you make a verb group, you must draw three diagrams. Try three diagrams to detail verb group. A verb phrase must consist of verb group. Verb group must consist auxiliary and lexical verb. For example, like this. In a verb group, there are two sentences. Number 1, present tense. Number 2, past tense. For the sentence, Abi calls Ani, that is present tense, and Abi call Ani, that is past tense. Okay, I will give the example of the three diagrams. For example, dog eats the bone. We must draw three diagrams. For the subject, there are noun phrase and verb phrase. Noun phrase, there are noun and the noun is dog. And the verb phrase, there are verb group and noun phrase. The verb group, there are auxiliary and noun. Auxiliary, there are tenses. The tenses of number 1 is present tense. And the verb is eats. And the noun phrase, there are determine and noun. The determine is the and the noun is the bone. For the past tense, number 2, Nila was asleep. The subject, the noun phrase and verb phrase. Noun phrase is noun and the noun is Nila. And verb phrase, there are verb group and noun. The verb group, there are auxiliary and verb. Auxiliary, there are tenses. The tenses number 2 is past. And then the verb of number 2 was, the noun is sleep. Modal auxiliary. There are modal auxiliary for this sample mood. There are will, would, can, could, might, shall, should, must, talk to. For the modal marginally, there are need, dare, and used to. Will and would is the volition or a prediction. For example, Kate will hug the baby, and then the baby would like a hug. And then modal auxiliary, there are can, could, might, and might. For example, Kate can hug the baby. Number 2, Kate could hug the baby. Example number 3, the baby might like a hug. And then shall, should, must, and talk to. For the example of this model is Kate should hug the baby, and then the baby must want a hug. The verb or verb appearing after a modal is called the infinitive. Repeat after me. The form of a verb appears after a modal is called the infinitive. It can appear with the participle to plus infinitive. For example, to hug or as per infinitive without to. For example, hug. And then the function of verb group is a predicator or P. For example, Ben hugs the baby. Ben as a subject, hugs as a predicator, the baby as a direct object. And number 2, Ben will hug the baby. Ben as a subject, will hug as a predicator, and the baby as a direct object. Number 3, the baby cried early. The baby as a subject, hug, cried as a predicator, and early as an adjective. For example number 4, the cat must find a bone. Subject, there are noun phrase and verb phrase. Noun phrase, there are determined because there is a the and noun. For determine, the noun cat, and the verb phrase is a verb group. Verb group transitive. And then the verb group, there are auxiliary and verb. The auxiliary, there are mode or modal. The modal is must. And then the verb is find. And then the noun phrase is a determine and noun. The determine is a and the noun is a bone. And then for example number 4, the baby cried early. Subject, there are noun phrase and verb phrase. The noun phrase, there are that atau determine, and noun, the determine is the and the noun is the baby. And then the verb phrase, there are verb group. The verb group transitive. The verb group, there are auxiliary and verb. The auxiliary, this sentence, there are past tenses. And the verb, there are cried, and the adverb phrase, there are early. And then primary auxiliary. Number 1, auxiliary verb which are not modal are called primary auxiliary. Repeat after me. Auxiliary verb which are not modal are called primary auxiliary. there are three auxiliary. Number 1, auxiliary to be. Number 2, auxiliary to do. And then number 3, auxiliary to have. Auxiliary to have and be signify aspect or voice. There are two kinds of aspect. There are perfect and progressive. And then I will to explain about perfect aspect. Perfect aspect is indicated by the presence of the auxiliary verb have, has, and had. For example, Alfie has cleaned that house. Number 2, Java had given the boy a milk. Primary auxiliary use primary, for example, has and had, carries that is tenses. Has as a present tense and had as a past tense. Has as a present tense and had as a past tense. Okay, now I will give the example of past participle. Past participle is form that use verb perfect auxiliary. Past participle doesn't refer to tenses. Do you remember? Past participle doesn't refer to tenses. For example, Dava had given the boy a milk. Dava as a subject, had given as a perfect, and the boy as an indirect object, and a milk as a direct object. For the rules, perfect aspect, have plus verb ing and had given. And then the progressive aspect. The form of following the progressive auxiliary is called the present participle. Repeat after me. The form of the verb following the progressive auxiliary is called the present participle. For the rules, be plus verb ing was giving. You must remember, the progressive can also combine with modal and or perfect auxiliary. Each type of auxiliary may appear only once in the verb group. If modal appears, tenses cannot appear. For example, modal plus progressive plus verb. The sentence is, Damar may be given by the boy a milk. For the present tense plus perfect plus progressive plus verb, the example of sentence is, Damar has been giving the boy a milk. And then the example of modal, perfect, and progressive, and the verb is, Damar may have been giving the boy a milk. For example number 5, I will give the example. Number 5, the sentence is, Mom may be giving the vegetable a rabbit. The subject, there are noun phrase and verb phrase. In the noun phrase, there are noun, and the noun is mom. And verb phrase, there are verb group, transitive, and the noun phrase. The verb group, there are auxiliary and verb. And the auxiliary, there are modal. The modal is may. And the verb, there are auxiliary, there are progressive. The progressive is be. The verb is giving. And then the noun phrase, there are determine and noun. The determine is the, and noun is the vegetable. And then the noun phrase, there are determine and noun. The determine as a, and then the noun as a rabbit. For example, the teacher are teaching. Same like number 6. The teacher was teaching. Subject, there are noun phrase and verb phrase. The noun phrase, there are determined and noun. The determined, there is the, and noun, there is teacher. And verb phrase, there are verb group. The verb group, there are two, auxiliary and verb. The auxiliary, there are tenses and progressive. The tenses is present tense and the progressive is a are. And then the verb is teaching. The rules of passive voice are passive voice be plus form past participle and was chased. For example, that hunter was chased by a wolf. Subject, noun phrase and verb phrase. The noun phrase, there are determined and noun. The determined, there is that, and noun, there is hunter. And the verb phrase, there is verb progressive, verb group, The verb group, there are auxiliary and verb. The auxiliary, the tenses is past and the past is was. And then the verb is chased. The prepositional phrase, there are prepositional and noun phrase. The prepositional is by, and the noun phrase, there are determined and noun. The determined is a, and the noun is a wolf. Okay? And then I would like to explain about modal and passive and verb. For example, the vegetable may be given by a horse. The vegetable may be given a horse by mom. And an example of present tense plus perfect plus passive plus voice is the vegetable has been given a horse by mom. And then the example of present tense, progressive and passive plus verb is the horse is being given a vegetable by mom. And then you must remember about verb progressive, same as auxiliary plus verb, and the auxiliary is a tenses or modal plus tenses or modal plus perfect plus progressive plus passive. Tenses or modal plus infinitive. You must remember about it. Tenses or modal plus infinitive. Perfect, there is have plus an, and the progressive there is be plus verb ing, and then passive be plus verb an, and the plus lexical verb. Now I will give you example. For the sentence is the cat had been given a fish. For the subject is noun phrase and verb phrase. The noun phrase is a determined and noun. The determined as the and noun as the cat. The verb phrase, there are verb group and noun phrase. The verb group is an auxiliary and progressive. The auxiliary, there are perfect and had. The progressive is a been. And the noun phrase, there are determined and noun. The determined is a, and noun as a fish. And then thief must have been arrested. The subject is noun phrase and verb phrase. The noun phrase, there are noun, and the noun is thief. And the verb phrase, there are verb group. The verb group, there are auxiliary and verb. The auxiliary, there are modal, perfect, and progressive. The modal is must, and the perfect is have, and the progressive is a been. And then the verb is arrested. Now I will give the explained about do, like do, does, and did. Do turns up to lend support to the lexical verb only in certain construction and where there is no other auxiliary verb already present. For example, I love reading. I do not love reading. And then, do you love reading? Another function of do and auxiliary is to provide emphasis. For example, you do love reading. Okay, now I will give the example. The him for the tenses, he might be seen by the neighbor. Subject, there are noun phrase and verb phrase. The noun phrase, there are pro, and then the pro is he, and the verb phrase, there are verb group and noun. There are the auxiliary, there are might, and the progressive, there are be. And then the verb phrase, there are prepositional phrase, and the prepositional phrase, there are the pay is by, and the prepositional phrase, there is noun phrase. The noun phrase, there are determine and phrase. The determine is the, and the phrase, there are neighbor. And the last, I will give the second example. The sentence is, he might be seen by the neighbor. Sum is number 10. The subject, there are noun phrase and verb phrase. The noun phrase, there are progressive. The progressive is a he, and the verb phrase, there are verb group, and the verb group, there are auxiliary and verb. The auxiliary, there are modal and progressive. The modal is a might, and progressive is a be, and the verb is a seen. And then the verb phrase, there are prepositional phrase. The prepositional phrase, there are first and noun phrase. The phrase, there is a by, and the noun phrase, there is determine and noun. For determine, there is the, and the noun, there is neighbor. And then the last of this example is Lani must have thought Mr. Bean an idiot. Same as like a number 10 and 9. The subject, there are noun phrase and verb phrase. The noun phrase, there is noun, and the noun is Lani. And verb phrase, there are verb group and the noun phrase. The verb group, there are auxiliary and verb. The auxiliary, there are modal and perfect. And the modal is must, and the perfect is have. And the verb is thought. And the noun phrase, there are noun, and the noun is Mr. Bean. And the noun phrase, there are determine and noun. The noun is an, and the determine is a, and the noun is a idiot. Okay, that's all from me. I hope you understand about verb group, and thank you for listening and watching my video. See you in another video. Goodbye. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.